Welcome to Optily Radio, your regular 30-minute dose of everything you need to accelerate your e-commerce marketing success.
Welcome to Optily Radio. I'm your host, Nina White. Being the content specialist here at Optily means I'm very involved with the layout and function of our website and app. So I'm especially excited about today's episode because it's all about user experience, design best practices, and conversion rate optimization. Of course, there are tons of principles that will apply across the board, but we're focusing just on e-commerce here today. Today's expert is passionate about the subject of getting your website tip-top to ensure the highest number of visitors end up checking out. So let's dive right in and pick her brain on conversion rate optimization best practices. We have Navah Hopkins joining us today in the virtual studio. Navah is the director of paid media at Just Uno, a company that uses AI to optimize websites for high conversions. She's been in the digital marketing field since 2008, and she loves sharing her experiences at various public speaking engagements. She's also a regular contributor to Search Engine Journal, SEMrush, WordStream, and PPC chats on Twitter. Navah's also been named among PPC Heroes' top 25 most influential PPC experts. And joining us from the Optily team today is Helen Grimes. Helen is Optily's user experience designer and has years of experience in UX. She's currently working on our big redesign project for the Optily app. And prior to joining our team, she interned as a user experience designer at Agilent Technologies in Germany. She's also a graduate of TUD, where she received a master's in creative, digital media, and UX with a specialization in interaction design. Welcome to the show, Navah and Helen.
Thank you very much for having us.
Great so, things are warming up over by you. People are finally allowed to go outside a little bit more, I hope.
Yep, we in classic New England weather, we go from 90 degrees to 50 degrees to 90 degrees to 50 degrees, and it's a roller coaster for the immune system. So it's a good thing we're all immunized and vaccinated, and it's all good things.
Awesome. Yeah, slowly opening up here in Dublin. I don't know about you, Helen, but I'm finally going out to my first restaurant tonight for dinner. I'm very excited. Yeah, outdoor dining only for now, but we'll take what we can get.
Exactly.
Awesome. So, Navah, why don't you tell us a bit about yourself, how you got started in the world of marketing, and what exactly you do at Just Uno?
Sure. So, funny enough, I actually went to university to be an English teacher, and I realized halfway through my courses I would be both poor and ineffectual. So I pivoted to digital marketing. Got my start in SEO, hung around there for a little bit, ended up pivoting to paid media in 2012. I've been very blessed that I've gotten access and I've gotten to work with thousands of brands and the agencies who serve them, first at WordStream and now at Just Uno. So my role at Just Uno is actually to help Just Uno know what tools will best serve the paid media industry, as well as how to communicate their value. And bring in the feedback from the paid media industry on what should come next. So we actually just launched a feature called Audience Sync, which is meant to help our customers maintain targeting tools while maintaining privacy. But again, like the reason I actually went to Just Uno, all of the paid media industry is going to have to start thinking about that post-click experience. So I am very excited to talk about CRO and how, whether you're a small brand, a big brand, how you can begin to think about that CRO piece, because everyone, not just organic, not just content, not just the UI UX team, like we're all going to have to think about that post-click experience and share lessons learned. So we're creating that best experience to continue those consensual conversations with our customers.
Awesome. That's great. Yeah, I also came to marketing from kind of not a marketing background, history background, so also sort of writing a lot. So I think it definitely helps, especially with like SEO and English and just like, being able to write good copy is so important in marketing. So that's interesting.
And empathize with people.
Exactly. Yeah, so definitely agree that marketing can only get us so far to that last click. So once people get on the page, it's so important that they have a good experience, because even the best marketing campaign on any channel, it's just once they get to the site and it's, not mobile optimized or something, it's just frustration, and it's not fun. So on that note, what are some of the most frequent red flags that you've seen on e-commerce sites that tend to negatively impact conversions?
So the biggest one is that the shopping cart experience requires more than one click. So there's nothing wrong with requiring, or not requiring, but to offer the option for someone who's really committed, they bought into your brand, the opportunity to become a full member. But it really grinds my gears. It's a saying that I don't know if it's still a popular saying, but it's one of my favorite sayings. Grinds my gears when a brand will not allow someone to check out with, say, Amazon one click, the Google Wallet one click, PayPal one click, because ultimately people are busy. You want to get out of the way and let that path to profit and victory just happen. You don't want to make them go through all these steps. The other thing that can be very, very frustrating, and I actually just did a whole big rant about it, is when you want to buy multiple things from the same site but ship to multiple people, and that experience either requires you to do multiple orders and go through that process multiple times, or you have to know ahead of time that addresses need to be in place. So it just basically anything that causes friction for the user, where there didn't need to be any, that's a huge red flag for me. There are other design things, there are other mechanics, but the biggest thing, if you were to solve one problem, it would be that shopping cart optimization and really making that as intuitive as possible.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, definitely. I know I've left so many things in my shopping cart just because I didn't want to get up out of bed and go to my wallet and get my credit card out. It's like, I have Apple
You're one of the
Pay.
74%. 74% of shopping carts get abandoned. It's okay. We don't have to feel guilty about abandoning shopping carts. It's on the brand to create that great experience.
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Cool. And so what are some of your personal pet peeves when it comes to site design? Something that you just like, ugh, not this again.
So I definitely want to get Helen's take on this too. I really dislike serif fonts. I'm mildly dyslexic, and so serif fonts ad nauseum are actually really difficult to read. So when a site is fully serif, it actually makes it very challenging for me to process the information, whereas sans serif, super easy to read, super quick to read, super easy. And that's actually why a lot of tech brands, their fonts are sans serif fonts, because it's very easy to pick up, it's very easy to process. A lot of more hoity-toity or legal financial brands that are more serious will be in serif font because they're trying to communicate that professional tone. The problem is that if you go too much on the serif font with your design, you make it very challenging to read. The other thing that is one of the biggest cardinal sins when it comes to design is if you bury the conversion action below the fold, or if you have too many conversion actions that the user should do, especially coming from paid traffic. Organic traffic, it's fine. Ultimately, the user is going to be more susceptible to engage and to go further in, and you want them to interact. But on paid, you want a single conversion action. And you want to be mindful of who that person is so that you're message mapping correctly that right experience. So if someone's coming to you off of a paid search ad and it's an actual text ad versus a shopping ad, I would expect that landing page to have a grouping of products that directly correlates to what the ad was about. If it's coming from a shopping ad, I would expect to be right on that product page. If it's a Facebook ad talking about a group of products, I might get a little bit more fluffy, but it still is going to be transactional. It's easy to buy right above the fold. I can see if something's in stock right away. I'm not waiting for it to load. So there's basically just be nice to your customers. If you're nice to your customers, life is good. If you're mean to your customers, I get a little bit irked.
Sure. Yeah. I suppose the sans serif versus serif, it's kind of an accessibility issue, when you think about it. Want to make it as legible and usable as possible for them to be able to, convert and, do what they want to do on the site, carry out their goal. I think you mentioned something similar about, a lot of CTAs. I do find sometimes there is, you do see it a lot where there's maybe the overuse of the primary action button and, the hierarchy. It can be a bit of an issue. You're kind of looking in different corners of the page, so you're not really able to scan it, or it's more difficult for users to scan to find what they want to find. So yeah, no, I think I agree with a lot of what you say, and it's great to get your take too.
You bring up a really good point on accessibility too. A lot of people think about accessibility just from a standpoint of, oh, this is a good conversion rate. Accessibility has become a ranking factor as well. So like you want to create accessible content. You want to make it as easy as possible for anyone to access your site. And so it's not just about making life easy for the user. It's also about pragmatically, like you need to be able to have your site serve if you're not relying on paid traffic. So 1,000% agree with you on the accessibility point.
Great. So that really kind of brings us into my next point that I want to ask about is sort of the toolkit that you use. What are some good, softwares? Maybe like I've seen there's a bunch that do grade your website on accessibility, your color contrast and that type of stuff as well. So what is sort of your go-to, maybe 3, 4 things that you use to map the user journey to pinpoint pain points, a bit of a mouthful there, and just help with site optimization, either with AI or just something to help with like wireframing or anything like that? What are your top tools?
Helen,
Sure.
do you want to go first?
So I suppose at Optily at the moment, on our application, we are using a product called LogRocket. So that's helping us to understand errors on the site, and also we can see exactly how the user is kind of going through the whole user journey, where there may be, you can see them maybe rage clicking a little bit at certain points, and
I love that, by the way. Like that's my when you can
yeah, they're
identify
just
the rage
clicking all
clicks.
over the place trying to figure out where they're going, and yeah, that's a huge. I don't want to say red flag, but that there's a problem there. Something needs to be kind of done. So it is great for that kind of quantitative data. You're able to see, where people are kind of having difficulties. So it has highlighted a lot of usability issues for us, which is great. So we've been able to counteract those. And I suppose in terms of wireframing, I use a product called Adobe XD. Yeah, I know it's one of the big ones, and also Envision then, which is great for kind of usability testing as well, and especially now with remote work, you're able to kind of test very easily. So yeah, there's some of the tools that I'm using at the moment. What about you, Navah?
So one of my absolute favorite tools, and it is a little bit expensive, but it is absolute favorite, is Full Story. You also get to see like those rage clicks. But what I love about it is that you're able to actually see user journeys throughout the entire session, that they're engaging with your site, they're engaging with your software. You can see where things are lagging. You can see like where people think that something should be there. You can see where people are happy. Like it's just, I love Full Story. Another great one that I think not enough people think about is analytics, and also the 4GA, because you're able to see the user behavior, the heat map, like where people are landing. So if you don't have the budget for a tool, don't discount analytics. It's a fantastic free tool. Hotjar is always wonderful. I have a feeling this is where it was expected. Shameless plug for Just One of the things I actually like about Just in relation to other tools, like we're really good at that on-site experience. For actually tracking user behavior and where people are going, I would definitely defer to like a Hotjar, a Full Story, Google Analytics. Another and this is actually one of the tools that we use internally for beta testing, is something called Try My UI. What's nifty about them is that they actually will get your beta testers to consent to have their faces recorded. So you can see like not just what was the user behavior, but how much emotion and frustration or elation went into that user journey. So shout out to Try My UI, which is what we use. But full story, hands down, if I had to pick one tool to invest, it would be Full Story, because they're expensive.
I'm taking
but
notes
really
here.
Awesome. That's great. So any new brand or any established brand, really, they really want to stand out online. They don't want to be, just another template website. So what are ways that brands can make their shopping experience unique, but not make it like way too artsy so that it's like, where is the buy now button?
So one thing we're thinking about is, a lot of people, when they think about CRO, the knee-jerk reaction is, what kind of discount can I give someone to buy right now? A lot of people forget that there is a segment of the market that's very excited and very interested in premium, in being the first to have the thing, being the only people to have a thing. And so one thing that can be really useful is to actually highlight limited edition, limited run, like you are one out of however many, and actually to get people to sign up to be, you are going to get access to stuff that we are not going to advertise on the main site. Like, get on the VIP list. Like, that is a great way to build brand advocates. It's a great way to nurture your folks. Granted, you need to have the brand to go with that kind of experience, but for those of you that maybe feel like, I'm always discounting my stuff, like this is not really my brand, there is that option. The other thing that I would definitely encourage folks to think about is gamification. I know that that's a topic that is a little bit later, so I'm kind of selfishly pulling it up because it's a lot of fun to talk about. I love games, avid gamer. Gamification works, and the idea of getting people incented to, okay, if you buy 2 things, you get 10% off. If you buy 3, you get 11% off or 15% off, whatever it might be. Or you bought 2 things, so you unlock free shipping. Buy 3 things, you get a thing for free. Like, just building in those little games can be a very powerful way to not only get the order, but to increase average order value, or AOV, and units per transaction, or UPT. And if you know that your average customer has, say, buys 2 things and has a $50 to $60 order value, you might then take that group of people coming from whatever traffic source, because you know that you study your data, you know your personas, and actually put promotions there in front of them, incenting them to go one more product, or incenting them to go, like, if you hit $60, you unlock free shipping instead of 50. So just like using your customer data, your sales data to inform those promotions, I find is really powerful. I'm really curious to hear what Helen has to say on the matter.
I think it's always better to keep the experience as simple as possible, and the most boring solution usually is the most usable. So that would generally always be my response to that kind of a question.
Yeah, definitely. As a shopper, I totally agree, Helen. Like, sometimes you get on these really like spammy pages and it's just like 50%, 25%, 500 different products, scrolling, flashing pop-ups, and it's so much that you're just like, no.
Well, so here's the other thing. Like, I know we're kind of talking about this from a general CRO standpoint. I don't think we have the time to go into international, but like, there are very different rules of engagement to different markets. So that, like, have everything on the page, flashy, would bomb in the US. It would thrive in Japan. So you just like have to be aware of what market does well with what thing.
Cool. So speaking of gamification and things, maybe going off of that, like, what are some tactics that you can use to make a user journey feel more personalized? So just so it's very targeted to the individual user, even if they're visiting the site for the first time.
We launch and do the spin to wins, the scratch offs, all like the slots, because like there's this, even if you end up like the person is always going to end up with like the lowest common denominator, the chance that you could get 50% off or the chance you could get free product, like that's really exciting. And most people are willing to give information if there's a chance of a big prize as opposed to a guaranteed little one. Like for whatever reason, like we our risk averse nature goes out the window and we're just like, nope, I know I'm going to be the lucky one that gets 50% off instead of 5. Like that's just, it's going to be me. So yeah, gamification is a great way for lead capture. But the other thing that a lot of people forget is that gamification also extends to getting more things. So the idea of like, okay, I'm going to buy this product and I'll get that second one because by buying that second one, I unlock 15% off. And that language of unlock, you unlocked free shipping versus you've earned free shipping. Like it's those little things that you're able to then empower the customer to have fun with your brand as opposed to like, I'm shopping. It's like, I actually hate shopping. I find it really dull and tedious and terrible. It's like stresses me out. But I love playing games. And so I do actually find I get more joy shopping online than in stores because most e-commerce brands at this point have built some degree of gamification in. Like there's some degree of that engagement with the user.
Just like unlocking different points towards something if you tweet something or if you answer like a survey on your experience. So like there's all sorts of little things that I've seen that are really interesting, kind of lets you level up as though you're like an RPG character.
Well, so real quick, what was actually really interesting, we kind of did a study of our own gamification tools. So timer average conversion rate was 29.85%. Our spin to win is 24.74%, and this is sales. That like we actually got the sale. Our tap to text or text tickers, like where it was more, the tap to text, it was 18.35%. The text ticker where you kind of like unlocked something additional was 32.75%. So like if you're able to get, especially with the spin to win and the timers, anywhere between 25 to 30% conversion rates, like it's an easy thing to do. And like, yes, I am partial to just, but like we're not the only ones that have those available. And so regardless of what tool you use, if from an on-site CRO standpoint, those template of gamification tend to do the best. So I would definitely recommend testing those before say anything else. And always, always, always look at your sales data to determine what your promotion should be, what your average order value goal should be. So like using that example from before of $50 to $60, if you know that your West Coast customers have bigger pockets because they're all in Silicon Valley and like the big tech companies versus the Midwest, where maybe not to say the Midwest is cheaper, but like they're just the cost of living is less. You might set different goals for people coming from those different sites. So you want to think about not just your customer base overall, but also the different segments.
Awesome. So
sorry, that was like the one rant I wanted to make sure I got in there.
Oh
like,
no, it's super fun. Yeah, for sure. No, that's really important stuff. Like you can't generalize. Like you got to figure out who your unique customer personalities are and really just target that for maximum conversions. So what are some tactics, so beyond gamification, what are some tactics for upselling without deterring people from the original purchase intent? So they've already added something to their cart, they're about to check out, but you want to kind of push them with like some kind of complimentary product. What are some good ways of doing that?
All right. So with upsells, you want to think about what is a tangential product. So for example, I mean, and if this is too pluggy, please cut it. So we have a tool called Commerce AI that will actually recommend additional products for you that might come up in the shopping cart, like before you check out, like this is a necessary add-on, or these are recommended products. So that can be very helpful, and it's based off of the user behavior. But if, say, you don't have Commerce AI, you don't have Just and you want to do it yourself, I would look at your products and think about if someone buys, say, for example, foundation, they likely are going to need either a foundation sponge or a foundation brush, because unless they are a heathen, and to be fair, I can sometimes be a heathen, you're not going to want to put foundation on without an applicator. Same thing with shoes. Like if you're getting shoes, you likely need socks, or you likely need replacement soles, or you likely want something to waterproof the shoes so that they get to stay as pristine as possible. So just thinking about the user experience, not just on site, but once they get your product, and how you can extend the happiness associated with that product, and grouping those products together. Only you are going to know whether those add-ons are best served once the item is in the cart, and then you say like, hey, these products should be bought together, or whether it should be before the item is added and say, hey, buy together and bundle for like 5% off everything. So like you'll see that sometimes on Amazon, they'll do that. This is me revealing that I'm an avid gamer, but on Steam, they'll do that. Like you'll go to a game page, and you'll see like, here's the price for the game, here's the price for the game and the soundtrack, and here's the price for the game and like 5 other games that we think you'll love. And it's like, do I really want us to go from spending like $10 to like 60, but then like, oh, those games look really good. Like they seem like they're kind of into me. So I go from spending 10 to 60, and like they jacked up that average order value. So you want to think about your user experience, how your users behave, and test. Like you're not going to know unless you test. So if you're able to structure those tests and do like 50% of your mid-tier products, going where it's in the shopping cart, added, and then you upsell, and then 50% you would have it before. And you'll notice that I said mid-tier. Any test that you do, you want to do with your mid-tier products. You don't want to go too low because you want to make sure that it's still valuable, but you don't want to risk your most valuable products until you have a proven model played out. So that's my little rant on if you had to MacGyver your own upsell process, like that's how I would do it.
Cool. Super useful. So bundling. Awesome. All right. So you had mentioned earlier cookies and us needing to sort of get used to a world without them. So with this obviously heavily impacting remarketing in the future, what can companies do?
Dynamic remarketing.
Exactly. Yeah.
No, it's okay. So one of the things that's really interesting is that if you look at the audience types of website visitor versus customer list. So customer list is the person has given you, they have consented to you talking to them by giving you their email and saying, yes, I agree that you can market to me, because you'll have that language on your promotion, or you'll have that language in your shopping cart, because otherwise you're actually not allowed to use that email for remarketing purposes. You have to have that language there. But you've done that, you've earned that email. Those lists actually perform better than website visitors. And that makes a lot of sense, because if I go to a page and then I'm nagged across the internet, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing, buy my thing, not as great of an experience as, oh, wait, I actually did really need to buy that. Like for whatever reason closed out, and like I couldn't get back to it, and it was weird. Because like that's happened to me. Like so a really good example of this, Tarte, the makeup brand, they do their twice a year $63 for 7 full-size items kits, and it sells out every time. And I had all my items, they were in the cart, but for whatever reason, when I went to go log in, my Facebook authentication didn't work, and so I got kicked out. And they had my email because I've bought from them before. They very cleverly remarketed to me and said like, hey, we're still running the sale. Your items are still in stock. Finish buying your kit. And I was like, I love this. I'm so excited, because I was genuinely concerned that the items I actually wanted would have been out of stock. So that's just being clever and using those customer lists. Absolutely great way to remarket. If you have not earned the email, don't fret. You still can create great experiences that inspire conversions, having easy to check out processes. But I would caution people from panicking over the loss of Nagatha Christie style remarketing of buy my product, buy my product, buy my product. Like, I think we're all better than that, and we can just focus on creating great experiences the first time around as opposed to nagging someone into submission.
Totally agree. Awesome. Well, it looks like we are at our half-hour mark, so unfortunately, this is our last question. But I want to give you the opportunity to give our listeners one big takeaway. So something that they can implement today that will help them accelerate their online businesses. So what would that be?
So my biggest takeaway for you is think about your customer personas, leverage your data, and build experiences that you would enjoy interacting with. When you build with your customer in mind, and when you segment your customers into those personas and target them with the right message, whether it's ads, whether it's your landing page, whether it's email, what have you, you will be able to succeed. Where people fall down is that they don't take the time to understand who their customers are, who their best customers are, what their margins are per customer, and then they get all upset when their ROI isn't there. Take the time to figure that out. It's a worthwhile endeavor, and then message them appropriately.
Awesome. That's a really great one. Well, thank you so much, Navah. Helen, it's been a pleasure having you both on the show.
Yeah, thanks a million. Great to meet you, Navah.
It was great to meet you.
Some really great stuff there from Navah Hopkins on ways to make sure people complete their checkouts on your site. If you want more CRO, PPC, or general digital marketing best practices, make sure to follow Navah on Twitter with the handle @NavahF. On our next episode in 2 weeks, we'll have Michelle Guillet on to bring in our big 10th episode of the show. Michelle is the Senior Product Manager at SalesLoft and a creative product leader with 10 years of experience in information product management and data products. We'll be talking all things data visualization with him, which is something I'm really excited to learn all about. So make sure to tune in. Stay safe, and we'll catch you back here next time on Optily Radio.